What if you were the living embodiment of all pervasive peace? What if all sentient beings all around you increased their vibration towards harmony by merely being in your contact? What if through conscious reasoning, focused will, and intentional living, you reform yourself, thereby becoming a catalyst and sparking transformation in others? I'm Shilpa Lewis, meditation and mindfulness coach for midlife mompreneurs, and you are listening to Omnipresent Awareness, the podcast that will inspire you to use your story to serve humanity in not just healing, but thriving as souls, each fulfilling their highest purpose. Hey there, thanks for tuning in. Next up, a conversation with Raquel, a soulful mompreneur from the Dominican Republic. Raquel spent much of her career as a freelance interior designer and as an art director for films and TV. She found herself often changing professions, jobs, careers, and she felt she was the jack of all trade, yet master of none, searching for balance in all of the wrong places outside of herself. She felt she was always seeking, never satisfied, and often would become overcome with anxiety. Seeking balance became of particular importance to her when she became a mother. At the age of 35, she found herself as a single working mom having an existential crisis. She described this phase of her life as the dark night of her soul. This phase in her life coincided with the global pandemic, which forced her to look within. The deeper she looked, she felt a calling to become a meditation coach and do something she felt deeply passionate about. Soon she started her company, Soul Sage Collective, her very own spiritual business. Nothing brings her more joy than helping others reconnect to their true nature and help them reach their highest potential and realize that life is working for them, not against them. And now, here's Raquel. So, good afternoon, early afternoon, Raquel. How are you?
Good. How are you doing? It's so good to see your face again.
Yeah, so happy to see you again. Okay, so without further ado, we have you here today to talk about resiliency. And
Awesome.
maybe to start, share with us, or share with me, how did you emerge into the role of being a mompreneur or arrive at becoming a mompreneur, and how that ties in with resiliency?
Wow. Okay. Well, it's been quite a wild ride for me because I actually got started in the mompreneur business after the pandemic. So this is all very new to me. I've always been in the freelance world. So I was used to kind of doing things on my own, but it wasn't necessarily something that I was very passionate about like I am with my soulful work, and hence the name Soul Sage Collective of my company. So yeah, I got started because I wasn't happy doing what I wanted to do, and the pandemic really gave me the opportunity to sit with myself and clear out any old and stagnant kind of energies that were lingering around. And that happened to be my old career. So I think it was a really good opportunity to kind of face my fears and find out what I really wanted to do. And that's when I realized, excuse me, that I wanted to be of service. So it all stemmed from this really humble and honest place of being able to help people through meditation. Because when everything hit the fan, I started to meditate, and it helped me so much that I realized, wait, I'm onto something here, and I think that I can help other people with that. So that's how it all started out.
Yeah, and you mentioned the word sit with it. Can you tie that back with how meditation helped you in that space of introspection, so to speak.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, because a lot of the time, we don't really have time to sit with ourselves. And that's something that when one of my clients comes to me and says, I don't have time to meditate, I'm like, well, do you have time to keep feeling the way you feel? Like, do you have time to keep being unhappy? Do you have time to keep feeling down and out? Like, it's all about finding balance. And I think that ties into the whole theme of resilience, because resilience to me is finding the balance, finding that calm within the storm, and finding that kind of 0 point field where you find everything that is possible when you think that things are impossible. So it's kind of like there's this duality, it's like everything gets really busy around you and you kind of get clouded, but then throughout spiritual practice like meditation, we can actually sit with our thoughts and get to decipher what is really in our best interest and what can help us move forward.
Wonderful. And within the realm of meditation, could you further explain the modalities that you've included in this process?
Well, right now I'm doing Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, so I'm a Reiki practitioner, active. And I'm also an online meditation coach and in person. And I'm also a tarot reader. So it's kind of a kind of roller coaster of offerings, but somehow they all tie in together. And now I'm looking into Akashic Records reading. So
tell us a little bit more about how you were introduced to all of these other modalities aside from meditation.
Well, I think I was definitely guided to these things because I knew about these modalities before I started, but it wasn't something that I felt like a really strong pull to until I opened up to receive guidance. And that's kind of like my main theme around meditation, is to find that channel, to open up to receive guidance from higher realms and your spirit guides and angels or whatever you relate to. And that's how things started falling into place. Like one day I read a book. I read Super Attractor, Gabby Bernstein, Super Attractor. And Super Attractor led me into this whole opening up to be of service, because before I started meditating, I felt like, what am I doing? I have no purpose in life. I was completely lost. So then things just started falling into place, like they say. When you're ready, the teacher will show up, right? So it just kind of happened like that. It just started unfolding. I bought a deck one day, and then after that, I opened up to becoming a meditation coach and helping other people. And then I started doing Reiki, and everything just kind of aligned for me.
That's wonderful. And how did that continuum bring you to where you are now? Because there's quite a few kind of exciting things that I'm just
yeah. Well, I think it's just been about having this absolute faith and trust that things are going to work out, because at the beginning I was like, how am I going to tie in Reiki and tarot and meditation and my practice and all these tips that I have accumulated along the way to help someone evolve? And I wasn't really sure where it was going to take me, but the universe does meet you halfway. It doesn't just plop things into your lap. So I just started working. I started getting involved with my community. I started offering meditation circles, and I started just putting myself out there. And it was really hard for me at the beginning. Like my voice would always go out, or I would read over a script 1,000 times before I got on camera and did it. And then things just started to kind of flow. It's really beautiful.
That's really exciting, especially you and I have been chatting about what has unfolded in regards to your recent move, and that required some level of facing your fears, because as a mompreneur, you stepped out of your boundaries almost.
Oh yeah. I definitely stepped out of my comfort zone. I mean, I had my mom living like 2 blocks away from me.
Yeah, tell us about that new comfort zone you stepped into.
Well, let's see, where do I begin? I've always wanted to live in this part of my country. I live in the Dominican Republic, and this part, the East Coast, is really touristy, like very high-end touristy, but it also is about wellness. There's like a really nice, not very big community, but very like holistic and wellness oriented and very close to the beach. And I'm definitely a beach person, being a Cancer. So I always wanted to live here, but the opportunity never really presented itself up until July, like a few months ago. And coincidentally, I had just finished launching my page, launching my course, and getting everything in order. And I just remember feeling like this sense of, I have to do this now. Like, I have to get my page done now. I have to launch my course now. Like, I remember going crazy. My whole family was like, okay, we lost her. Like, this is all she thinks about. What's that?
Tell us a little more about the course and how that ignited this new step in your life.
Oh yeah, definitely. The course is just about, just living in compassionate awareness and seeking your truth and opening up to feel what living your truth feels like, and kind of just breaking down all these barriers and fears. And it's really funny because it's like, as soon as I launched the course and I put it out there, like my whole life just launched. It was like, okay, you took your own course and now you're ready to expand. So then, yeah, things just started falling into place. I mean, I got into one of the best hotels in the entire country in their spa. It's called Eden Rock Cap Cana. And it's like the top 5 hotels in the world for their wellness program. So I am really fortunate and grateful for how everything is happening and unfolding in my life.
I remember one of the words or titles you had considered for the course at the time, becoming, and it sounds like you've truly becoming the new version of yourself that you probably didn't know it existed out there.
Oh yeah, I definitely didn't know she was. I mean, I knew she was there, but it's all about, pulling back the layers. This is what happens when we really start to get into identifying the things that are holding us back in our lives. So it's all about kind of pulling back these layers. And the closer we get to the center of ourselves, the more light that reaches all those dark places inside of us and permits us to live our truth. So it was scary as a mom, as a single mother, especially because I had to give up living close to my family and to my son's father, and I changed my son's whole scheme of life. So it was all really daunting to me, but I always knew that it just felt right. I had this gut feeling about it, and I was like, well, now is my chance to practice what I preach. So let's just do it.
Absolutely. Now, a lot of this has required for you to dig deeper into the faith and understanding that there will be guidance available to you as things unfold. However, you've also stepped into a new area where you've brought your son into a space and you're challenged on so many levels, I imagine. And can you tie it back to meditation? Say, how do you integrate that so that you can meet the challenges that you're now facing, a new life, a new geolocation?
Yeah, well, I think it just like any part of your life, when you're about to expand, your mind always brings you into really old limiting beliefs and patterns that are comfortable, even though they might not be healthy. You always keep playing small. So just like any other practice, I think I would tie this back into meditation in a sense that I just kept showing up for myself. I kept showing up for my son. I kept saying to myself, I have to be the best version of myself that I can be so that he can achieve his highest potential, as my son. So I just took the limelight off of me. I took the spotlight off of me and I said, it's not about me. It's about my son and it's about helping other people. And that has really helped me kind of like melt away any kind of fear that I had around being a spiritual teacher or coach or practitioner. So, yeah.
How does this also help with navigating this new space, whether if something like anxiety has crept in the past or even now, do you find yourself relying back on some of the modalities that you knew, even modalities?
Definitely. I mean, the modalities are endless. There's infinite amounts of modalities. I think the main thing that I always come back to is my breath. That's like, if you think about it, one of the only things that we can control in our lives is how we breathe, you know, and your breathing pattern really affects your nervous system. So whenever I find myself reacting to the uncertainties of life, because we never know what's going to happen anyway, you know, you have an idea of what your day is going to pan out to be, and then something happens and you always have an option, you know, either you breathe into this and you push through it, or you freak out and you stay behind. So I think my whole motto for the past 2 months has just been the only way out is through, and breathing is actually my favorite practice to come back to. It's just being conscious.
Even in this field, like after having been in the space for so long, something as simple as breathing can sometimes be the first thing you forget.
Oh yeah. But it's so important. Like, I have a story around this. A few days ago, I actually had my first allergic reaction to something, and I was literally like, I was gonna die. I said, oh my God, like, this is it. And this is how things happen in life. Like, I finally have the job I want. My son is at like this amazing school. Everything is going right. And then boom, all of a sudden I'm in a car to the emergency room. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, how does this happen? You know, like, our life is so fragile. And then I kept saying, like, if I wasn't a meditation coach, I probably would have passed out in the car, and the story would have been different, because I just kept breathing into this and just reassuring myself, like, it's going to pass. It's fine. Everything will be okay. And yeah, it really shook me up, because after that I was like, wow, this is so fragile. Like, we take our lives for granted.
Well, absolutely. And I'm so excited to hear, or glad to hear, that you were able to rely back on the very tools that you and I try to give to others to help them. In regards to your business, maybe tying that back in, you were sharing some anecdotes earlier before we started talking, in regards to the chakras, and even tying in with your own skills. Maybe you'll paint a better picture than I am trying to.
With the chakras, you want to tie this back into the chakras? Well, everything is energy, you know, and that's something that I have become so much more aware of as a meditation coach and a Reiki practitioner. And I think at the end of the day, it's all in the intention of being balanced, you know, of resilience, in a sense of picking yourself back up when life knocks you down. You know, it's about not having that victimhood mentality, and you being in control of actually balancing your energy. And as far as chakras go, I mean, there's thousands of chakras in our body. They're constantly receiving and storing information. So what kind of information do you want to keep inside of your energy system? You know, what kind of things do you want to move forward with in your life? And that's all you. You can control that. You can keep yourself in balance and in check, and maintain a positive outlook towards life if you always come back to, you know, resetting your intentions, checking your alignment, like, how are you acting? Is there coherence between what you're saying and what you're thinking and what you're doing and how you're moving forward? So I think chakras are just a reminder that we all have this light within us. And it's like the rainbow, whenever you see the rainbow, it's like that's all within you. It's all there. It's all a part of who you are, and it's all up to you, really. You're the only one that can control that. So
Wonderful. Yeah, I just love hearing each facet of what you've been exploring as a coach and as a practitioner. So wrapping up, tell us a few insights, maybe 3 to 5, that you could share with fellow mompreneurs or fellow human beings, on resilience, not only in terms of having it accessible to you as a mom personally, or even as a collective humans that are now emerging out of the pandemic.
okay, I think the first one would be trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. I mean, they call it the third eye, but really this is our first eye, and truth is a vibe and it doesn't lie. So trust your intuition. If something feels right, go for it. Go for it. And it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. It just has to make sense to you, and it only has to resonate to you, because you're the only one that can manifest your life. You're human and you came here to experience that divinity on this plane. So you're the one in control of that. So trust your intuition. It's never going to lie. 2, have patience. Have patience, because in our limited minds, there's no way that we could see everything that's happening around us to make things possible. There's just no way, In my practice a lot, I tend to do that. I tend to zoom out whenever I feel like I'm having a really tough time moving through any kind of like really dense energy. And I just like to look at my life from above and think about everything that's moving around, just to make things kind of fall into place. That really helps me. But yeah, just be patient, because you never really know, it does take time. Good things do take time. And that's been a challenge for me, because I used to want to have everything work out now. Like I've always been really fast and really, like I need to get this done now and it needs to happen now. But now I'm starting to kind of fall back into this natural flow of just doing the work and waiting for it to come around and fall into place. 3, keep showing up for yourself, no matter what, especially when it comes to a practice. It's called a practice for a reason. It's not easy, and it's not easy to sit with yourself. It really isn't easy to look at yourself in such a deep way that you get to sift through all these wounds, but that's the only way to shed light on your problems, is to really allow that light to come in and sit with them. So keep showing up for yourself, keep doing the work, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. Like, just make sure that you're sitting with yourself and that you're taking an honest inventory of what's happening in your life and what you don't like, so that you can change it. And I think a final one would be to have fun. Just make sure that you're doing something that you love to do, that you feel good about doing, that at the end of the day, you're like, wow, that was good. Like how I feel after I finish a session with someone, or after I do a reading with someone, or after I give Reiki to someone. I feel different. I feel so much more vibrant, and it's because I love it. I love what I do. So find something you love to do and practice that. Just even if it's, going for a run or exercising, or just anything that brings you back into that natural state of joy, I think is really important.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks for having me on here. I love this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope I can come back soon and keep
absolutely
talking.
Yeah, we'll explore more. And again, I really appreciate you being on this podcast, and we look forward to releasing it soon.
Honor. Thank you so much, Shilpa. Love you.
You too.
Have a great day.
Thanks again for tuning in. Check out the links in the description and please subscribe, follow, and share. And continue to be omnipresent.